Born into the Ivorian Civil War, Amad Diallo was smuggled across Europe as part of a fake family. Facing legal trouble in Italy for pretending to be the son of a sports trafficker, Amad's career looked over before it even began. In spite of this, his talent as a footballer was simply too good, making a £37 million move to Manchester United after just 4 games of professional football. But to make sense of all of this, we first have to rewind back to 2002. Back then, Amad was a newborn born into a world filled with chaos at the heart of the Ivorian Civil War. The sounds of gunfire echoed through the villages as families were forced to flee their homes. The war ravaged hospitals, leaving little access to doctors or medicine, whilst clean water was scarce and food even scarcer. In such an unstable world, a child's next breath is a gift more than a given. Be it battle or disease, every day a baby survives in this war-torn landscape is a miracle. Luckily, Amad Diallo is living proof that miracles exist. Even as a little boy, he loved football. He played every day with his brother, as both dreamed of becoming professional players. But for boys like them, opportunities to play on the biggest stage were rare. But that's when, one day, a group of men approached his family. They spoke of Italy, a land where talented youngsters could become stars. Thus, these men promised to help Amad and his brother achieve their dreams. But the men had a secret. They were traffickers, part of an illegal sports network that smuggled people into Europe. They weren't helping Amad because of his talent, they were in it for the money. Each year, an estimated 15,000 young men from West Africa are trafficked into Europe with the dream of pursuing a footballing career, according to a 2013 report by the charity Foot Solidaire. Many families pay middlemen thousands of pounds hoping that their sons will secure trials or opportunities in the sport. And whilst Amad and his brother's stories once again ended up being 2 miracles, this is not the norm. Tragically, these promises often go unfulfilled, leaving the youngsters stranded without clubs, support, or even proper accommodation. Nonetheless, with the use of fake documents, Hamed Mamadou Traore, an Ivorian citizen based in Italy, posed as their father to help the boys immigrate to Italy. This method exploited family reunification laws, which are designed to allow relatives to join family members legally residing in Europe. When they arrived in Italy, Hamed Traore, as he was then known, continued to put his footballing ability on full display, where by the age of 12 he became a full-time academy player for Boca Barco. Within just a matter of months, Amad's potential was apparent. As a result, his career took the next step, once again thanks to a miracle. This time, a Christmas one. That's because he finished as the top scorer of a local Christmas tournament, despite being the youngest player participating. Thus, it came as no surprise that many Serie A clubs began sniffing around Amad, with his big break coming when he joined the youth team of Atalanta. By October 2019, Amad made his first team debut, which was yet another perfect miracle. Coming on as a substitute, he scored within minutes, becoming the youngest player to score a brilliant goal in his Serie A debut at just 17 years old. However, whilst Amad's footballing future was beginning to take off, the truth about his past was catching up with him. Years after his arrival in Italy, the authorities discovered the trafficking ring that had brought Amad into the country. Investigations revealed the fake documents and the lies told by the traffickers, bringing us onto the story of Amad's alleged trafficker, Hamed Mamadou Traore. At the heart of his belief was a simple conviction: to succeed, these young men needed a chance, and that chance had to come with a clear pathway to Europe. By the time he and his wife achieved legal status in Italy, Traore had already secured a foothold in European football, which kickstarted his operations. But it wasn't all about just football talent. Traore often speaks of Amad's intelligence, a quality that sets him apart from many other players. He remembers how when Amad first arrived, he was so thin and fragile that it was hard to imagine him ever becoming a professional footballer. In spite of this, it was more than just Amad's technique that made Hamed believe in him, but also the kid's desire to succeed in life. and so Traore insisted that he treated these boys as if they were his own children, adamant that he was not trafficking players. In spite of this, Traore admitted that he did benefit financially from Amad's future success. He claimed that any proceeds would have been reinvested into his academy, but it still lacks even the most basic of facilities, including access to a proper grass pitch to this day. And so you can make your own mind up about that. Nonetheless, this didn't stop Amad's short, and I mean very short, time at Atalanta being a great success, as it earned him a huge move to Manchester United after just 4 first-team appearances for the Italian side. 4 appearances that equated to just over an hour of football combined. Yet, the biggest club in England ensured they got his signature, narrowly beating Parma, who even announced Amad on loan just 6 months earlier before the transfer ultimately fell through. But when Amad officially signed for Manchester United in 2021, Hamed Mamadou Traore's name was not on the documents. You see, by that time, Amad had moved on to a new group, AMS Consulting, and his registration with the English FA no longer listed Traore as his intermediary. Instead, an Italian agency, Sport Agency Futura, had secured the rights to represent him. Furthermore, Amad, now a legal adult, had also distanced himself from his past by dropping Traore from his surname altogether, becoming simply Amad Diallo. Traore claims that he understood why he chose to change his name and remove himself from the negative associations surrounding the case, but insists that their relationship still remains strong. He also claimed that if Amad chose to represent Italy rather than Ivory Coast, the situation would have been handled entirely differently. Nonetheless, following the investigation, Amad wasn't given the blame as he was but a child, manipulated by adults who used him as part of their illegal schemes. Thus, Amad cooperated fully with the investigation, helping to expose the criminals and prepare for his new life as Diallo, the Manchester United teenager. In spite of this, Amad's rise for the Red Devils was slow. He was supposed to be loaned out to Feyenoord in the summer of 2021, but an injury put an end to that move. In fact, for any casual supporter, you'd be forgiven if you said you forgot about him, as it took 4 years for him to finally cement his position at Manchester United. But even then, it looked like it was all ready to be thrown away thanks to this man, Erik ten Hag. But more on that in just a moment, because before this, after returning from injury, Amad did have a few loan spells in order to prepare him for his future at the club, starting with Rangers. Amad's loan spell in Scotland was a rollercoaster ride of ups and downs. In January 2022, a whole year after signing with United, Amad joined Rangers in hopes of gaining more experience, as he wasn't getting enough chances to play regularly in Manchester despite the big money move. And once again, Amad was blessed with a miracle start at Rangers, where on his debut he scored a goal within just 5 minutes against Ross County. As a result, fans were excited and thought that he might become a big star during the short time he would be spending in Scotland. But soon after, things got tougher. Amad found it hard to adjust to the physical style of football in Scotland. The games were faster and rougher than what he was used to, and so sometimes he struggled to keep up. In big games like against Celtic, Amad didn't really make much of an impact, and this led to some fans beginning to doubt him. There were even rumours that manager Giovanni van Bronckhorst wanted Amad's loan terminated early. Nonetheless, the 19-year-old didn't give up. He kept training hard and stayed focused, one of the traits that he was credited with even as a child. Thus, towards the end of the season, Amad started to find his rhythm again. He scored a few goals, including one in the final league game of the season. In spite of this, he was left out entirely during one of Rangers' biggest games, being the Europa League final against Eintracht Frankfurt, much to fans and even pundits' surprise at the time. And so, even though Amad's time at Rangers wasn't perfect, it did teach him valuable lessons. He learned to deal with criticism, adapt to different styles of football in harsh conditions, and kept pushing through the tough times. Tough times which helped Amad prepare for his next move, an incredibly successful loan spell with Sunderland during the 22-23 season. This was a huge turning point in his career following the ups and downs thus far. Saying that, when he first arrived at Sunderland, things started slowly. Despite experiencing Scotland, Amad needed some time to adjust to the Championship, which is a very tough league with lots of games and a very physical style of football. But once he got going, he was unstoppable, becoming one of Sunderland's best players, dazzling fans with his skill, creativity and ability to score vital goals. One thing that stood out about Amad, however, during his loan spell, outside of his skills, was his maturity. Even though he was young, he took on a big role in this team. He worked hard in every game, scoring 14 goals and providing 4 assists across the season, with his most memorable moments including a stunning long-range strike against Birmingham and a beautiful curler against Luton Town. As a result, Amad became a fan favourite off the pitch, with Sunderland fans loving his passion, positive attitude and dedication. Amad ended up playing a key role in helping Sunderland make it to the Championship playoffs, although they did fall just short of promotion to the Premier League that season. Nevertheless, this loan spell was a massive success for Amad. He proved that he could handle the pressure and challenges of being a key player. And despite the odd game for United in between these loan spells, including a fantastic headed goal in the Europa League against AC Milan, Amad was met with the biggest villain of his career thus far: Erik ten Hag. When the Dutchman took over as manager in 2022, fans hoped that Amad would finally get his chance to shine. Ten Hag was known for developing young talent, and Amad's successful loan spell at Sunderland seemed to position him as a prime candidate for a breakthrough. But instead of capitalising on Amad's potential, Ten Hag largely overlooked him. Despite excelling in pre-season games and consistently impressing during training, Amad found himself sidelined. It was evident that despite his innate talent, Ten Hag didn't trust him and instead prioritised an incredibly out-of-form Anthony and even Amari Forson over Amad, whose appearances were limited to a handful of minutes off of the bench and often being left out of the matchday squads entirely. Thus, frustration began to build for both Amad and the fans, as he was even considering leaving the club, especially as his contract approached its end. He simply wasn't ready to commit his future at United if Ten Hag and his coaching staff were to stick around. Luckily for him and the club, the arrival of Hag Amorim as Manchester United's new manager marked a pivotal moment which has completely saved Amad Diallo's career in Manchester. The Portuguese man immediately recognised Amad's potential, but not as the inverted number 10 which he had become accustomed to playing in Sunderland, or the right winger position which he was signed to fill at United. Instead, Amorim saw Amad as a right wing back. And while so many fans were left confused by this, it paid off as he assisted Rashford after just 80 seconds in his first game with a fantastic run down the wing. And this was despite Amad being given just 3 days to learn the position as best he could. Since then, Amad has cemented himself as one of the first and most important names on the Manchester United team sheet. Just like how the Rangers and Sunderland fans did, United supporters came to learn of the intense pressing and dedication that he gives to every single game. Numerous times under Amorim, Amad has been able to nick the ball off defenders with perfectly timed pressing and tackles before setting up his teammates. The young Ivorian has even gone on record saying that he has no problem playing in any position, be it striker, defender or even goalkeeper, if it meant that he could play for Manchester United. He's even continued to show the maturity and leadership that Sunderland fans became familiar with when he openly defended and supported Joshua Zirkzee, who'd have been struggling during the start of his United career. Thus, with players of this quality and maturity being such a rare find in the modern game, Amad's future has become a key focus for the club. As Amorim works to transform United into a competitive powerhouse once again, players like Amad are at the heart of his plans. Therefore, locking down his future would not only demonstrate to the manager's trust in his abilities, but also provide stability for a team aiming for success across multiple competitions. Now, if you liked this video, please make sure you smash the like button, subscribe if you're not already and ding that notification bell, and if you're interested, maybe click this video on your screen right now.